Hello everyone. This is a video to showcase this character rig that I put together in Unreal. This model, this very cool model, was provided to me by my friend Bobby Foster. Let's start with the face area. Zoom in a little bit. So I got some uh, amount of facial animation over here. Let's see, zoom in, move this in closer a little bit. Zoom in a little bit more. So you can get a better look. That's pretty good right there. Right, so we got some jaw movement. There's mouth movement, which of course all of this can be combined, so additively combined. Uh, Nose movement, and then individual eye movement. As you can see, the eyelids, um, they move along with the eyes, left and right individually. Eyebrows, right, inner and outer eyebrow control. And over here we got some blinking and then eye whitening. Then we got squint of an eye, which it's a little different than just blinking and whitening, right? It compresses the eye inwards all around the eyelid area. And then we got some other mouth expression um, poses over here. This is kind of pressing the lips in. We got smiles, frowns, just an overall widening of the mouth. And just lip pullers. Pretty standard. This is kind of following the IR kit um, settings for different facial poses. So it's I would say this is like mid-level facial quality, but it's best for real time for game setups. Um, that doesn't require a very high level of fidelity. But you know, for characters like this that are very stylized, I think this is the right amount of facial fidelity. And of course, we got the eye aiming control. This is how you manipulate the eyes so that they both follow at the same time, of course, right? Because over here you manipulate them individually. And of course, uh, this uh, adjustment um, is added to. Oops, sorry about that. It's added to this movement as well, right? So you can kind of make it have cross-eyed, make it look cross-eyed, cockeyed, or whatever you want to call that, and you know it'll still attempt to aim at the location over here as best it can while maintaining the offset setup over here. But let me reset all of this. And of course, we can individually adjust location of the eye aim. And that follows the head control. Of course, with the option to just pin it to the world so that we can move it to a specific location. Then you can move the head around and the eyes will, of course, just aim at that location. Set. All right, so moving along, we got clavicles, pretty standard. Actually, before I do that, there's the head, right? IK, FK setup with the spline IK. So it's pretty flexible to pose. It's got built-in matching, so we can get the head to a particular pose, switch over to FK, we can continue to pose or adjust the pose further, switch back to IK, continue posing that way until we get what we need. But you know, animators have the freedom to use this as they need to. Move down, clavicle is pretty standard, just FK. The spine setup is an IKFK spline as well, very similar to to the head. So we can translate the chest control, rotate the chest control, as well as the pelvis controls. Reset. There we go. So we can rotate, translate either pelvis or chest to get the character into the desired pose. And like I said, IK-FK matching built in. So we can switch to FK, continue to pose, switch back to IK. And of course, animate. Set that. Then we have pretty standard center of mass or center of gravity, whichever name you prefer. But I always like to add a bit of an extra functionality to this. It's essentially like an auxiliary pivot. I put on the back over here where you can offset this around. You can always translate and rotate this as you will. It's basically an offset control. But I find this very useful while animating because it's like I said, it's like an auxiliary pivot. You can put it, you can move it around and essentially offset the pivot of the center of mass so that you can get slightly different behaviors while you're moving your character and rotating it around. Set that. And we move on to the legs. Standard IK-FK setup with matching full vector. Let me move that up a bit. There we go. This one in particular is set up as sort of a digitigrade, just because this character has this sort of unique setup over here where he's kind of standing on his tippy toes. And he's got that unique leg setup. So he's basically a digitigrade. So set up that way. And let's see. You get this into a particular pose. You can switch over to FK. Adjust the pose in FK. Switch back to IK. And as you can see, matching built in. Another thing that, if I can reset this for a moment, another thing that I like to add to the IK setups that are a little bit different, something that I'm trying out that I think could be very useful is, you know, for the foot rolls, you know, foot pivots and whatnot, animating walk cycles, run cycles, and all that sort of thing. You know, the extra pivots, right? This is pretty standard, right? But I've set these up to be dynamic, sort of dynamic pivots, so you can translate the control around. And then when you switch over to rotate, that's your new pivot location. So you can move this over to the more or less the corner of the foot. Let's say right about there. Now we can kind of pivot around that pinky location there. And I got two controls set up, two dynamic pivots set up on the foot. One around the heel area, one around the ball/toe area, but really they can be moved around anywhere. All right. And then of course, root controls, pretty standard. This is the root of the character with a standard character offset built in. And then this other control, shaped like I said, the shape of an arrow over here. This one is to keep track of some root motion activity and whatnot. So set all of that. Now let's go back up to the arm. The arm's currently set at FK. So that's pretty standard, of course, FK. But another thing that we add to the rigs, animators really find it useful, is a global rotation pin. This works on the legs too, around the hip area on the FK side of things. So we can activate the global rotation pin for that. Then we can, for example, rotate the chest, rotate the center of mass, and the rotation of the shoulder is respected, as you can see. You can always blend that in and out. And IKFK setup for the arm, just like it's set up for the leg. But on the arms as well, we have some finger curling controls available here in the interface. And those are also available when you have the finger itself selected. For flexibility of posing. Metacarpal controls, pretty standard. And some extra quality of life finger spreading slider over here. Set. And on the IK side of the arm, there is one of these auxiliary pivots set up for the arms. Oops, forgot to set that one up. But it works just like it works on the legs. Set all of these. And that's pretty much for the whole rig. And of course, you might have also noticed that it's got some dynamics going on for these cloth portions of the character and these sort of these long braids that the character has. And those are handled through a post-process rig. That's been set up. That's one of the cool features of Unreal that I like to take advantage of. And also, within that post-process rig, I handle some deformation corrective features as well. So, for example, arm twisting, forearm twisting, upper arm twisting, as you can see. And then same around the legs and a couple other parts of the body. And that's it. Thank you.